Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video.
Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's video. Today I'm here with Ray. We're going to be talking about our regrets at GCSE and A level. Ray managed to get 4 A stars and now goes to Cambridge University, so he clearly knows what he's doing.
Yeah, thank you. So for regrets, I guess I'll just kick it off by going into one of my biggest regrets or lessons that I'd learned during A level, which was that you should always be actively looking for opportunities, especially for the summer between year 12 and year 13. And that could be, say, doing summer schools or attending math camps or like looking for essay competitions and just researching opportunities that you can do to put on your personal statement when it comes to applying to university. And this is something I feel like I didn't do enough of, or I didn't think about what I wanted explicitly. And I just sort of waited for opportunities to be advertised to me and then applying for those opportunities rather than doing a bunch of Googling and trying to figure out what I wanted. So for example, let's say like you're doing English literature and you sort of want to become a writer or do English at university and you have like a few favorite authors. You may want to like contact some of the authors and say, oh hey, is it okay if I get a work experience with you for like 3 or 4 weeks? Because that's just not a thought that comes to many people's minds because they're waiting for opportunities to come to them. So I feel like this is something I wish I did so much more of at A level, just making sure I'm finding opportunities all the time.
Again, I feel like with that's a great point because if you just ask someone, they will generally say yes. Ray reached out to me, he wanted to film a video, I said yes. Ray reached out to Ali, now he has an internship with him. It's just ask and you shall receive, you know, these things that you think may not be possible can maybe just one email away, you know. You were talking about, you know, cold emailing people and how that's worked out for you. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so cold emailing people. So right now in the summer, I'm interning for Ali Abdal, and that was just sending him like an email. It took me about 10 minutes to write the email. And that was so much faster and quicker than like applying for actual internships over the summer at like big companies, because there's so little time investment into just writing an email. The worst thing that can happen is just being ignored, in which case like you just email more people until like someone says yes. And it literally only takes like one yes to like change like your summer or like completely change your life for that matter. But yeah, cold emailing is fantastic. Do way more of it. I'm thinking of like just writing a cold email like every few days throughout next year, just like reaching out to professors or looking for opportunities, just because it takes such little time, but the like return on investment is absolutely huge. Yeah,
100%. Again, I was speaking with my friend Kieran, who now goes to UCL. He's studying medicine there, and he just emailed doctors. He emailed, you know, his local GP to try and get work shadowing doctors there and shadowing, you know, medical professionals, and that worked out for him. Cold emailing is the way to go, and it clearly works. I think for GCSEs, one of the best things that, you know, a lot of people tell you to do is start revising early. You don't want to start revising way too early. Like, you don't need to start revising for your GCSEs in year 9 or even in year 10, but as soon as you hit year 11, you want to start revising, you want to start getting into it, start, you know, doing it a little bit every day. Like, on my channel, there are, you know, long study me's, 9-hour study me's, but you really don't need to do that. If you're just doing it a little bit every day and being consistent with it, that will pay dividends in the long term. So just doing half an hour a day for like the weeks leading up to exams, or even just throughout all of year 11, will be very beneficial for your exams and will get you top grade. And I think something that goes hand in hand with that is not using bad revision methods. If you're revising for 2 hours, making notes, that's not as beneficial as maybe doing like an hour's worth of past papers. So figure out the revision methods that will work for you and figure out, you know, effective revision methods that aren't like a waste of time, if you understand what I mean. So things like active recall and spaced repetitions, which you can find on both of our channels, and how to, you know, incorporate those effectively.
Yeah, this is something that people always ask me, like throughout A levels, they all ask me, how many hours a night did you revise for or something? And the thing is, it's just not a fair comparison when you ask someone that question, because doing like 2 hours of active recall and like spaced repetition or like past papers is probably better than someone like reading a textbook and highlighting for like 10 hours. And I think of like effective revision and as being a huge time multiplier, because you can get so much more done and you can get better results and so for like a fraction of the time just using like the correct methods, which like you've spoken a bunch about on your channel. So yeah, very much focus on those and make sure you're doing them for A level as well.
100%, you know, the how many hours question, everyone hears that. How many hours did you do last night? How many hours are you planning on doing? It's not important, like it's important to a certain degree, obviously. Generally, correlation can mean causation, but not always. If you're revising 9 hours, then some people still might do better than you just because they're using effective methods. So don't worry about hours, just worry about how many topics you're covering, worry about how much of that topic you're actually understanding rather than just focusing on the time. So just start revising as soon as possible, do a little bit every day because that definitely adds up in the long term.
Now, if you don't know what Squarespace is and you've maybe been living under a rock, Squarespace is an amazing tool that helps you build a clean, crisp, and fantastic looking website. Nowadays, everything is going digital. Having a website is extremely important, not only to showcase your work, but to develop your passion and share your knowledge. I'm currently working on a website for myself that I can showcase all my things to do with YouTube and school, and maybe even start writing a few blog posts. All of this is possible through Squarespace. I think my favorite part about Squarespace is how easy it is to actually make the website. Like, you don't need any skills in coding whatsoever to be able to make something that works well, has clean animations, and will entice your audience. If all of this sounds interesting to you, head to squarespace.com for a free premium trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/udoka to save 10% off your very first website or domain. All links are in the description. Let's get back to the video.
Yeah, so I suppose an irrelevant point is that for some of your favorite subjects, you may be pretty good at them, and it can be quite easy to become complacent or fall behind, or just think that you don't have to put in as many hours. And it relates on to one of my regrets for both GCSE and A level, which was not realizing sooner that if you're good at something, then you should be putting more hours into that thing. So I use an example of, let's say you're good at art and you want to become even better at art. You're already, say, one of the best in your class. The thing is, the school system is sort of designed for the average person in every subject. So your teacher's going to be spending more time helping people who are average in your class at art get better at art than helping you push your abilities even further. And I wish I realized sooner that you have to push yourself in many of these cases if you want to get exceptionally good and potentially pursue art in the future. And the same goes for other subjects like maths. You may find that your teachers may not necessarily push you as much in maths, and you want to say study maths at university or something. You have to push yourself to quite a large degree, because teachers and the school system and many systems in life are designed for someone who's just average at that particular thing. But yeah, I wish I sort of realized that sooner, and if I did, then I think I would have been much better at the subjects I am right now.
I think that perfectly leads into my next point, which is just dedicate more time and research into what you want to be doing when you're older. G in GCSE stands for general, so it's not going to be, focusing on the subject you want to do when you're older. That is your job. You need to be doing that at home. You need to be actively Googling how to get into that career. You may not know exactly what you want to do, but you probably have some sort of general idea of what you want to be doing. So you can look into that, see how you're going to get into the top universities, see how you're going to be able to get the top apprenticeships for what you want to be doing when you're older. I think my school kind of focused on it a bit. We had a careers hub, but they definitely didn't focus on it enough. Their job is just to get you through GCSEs, but your job is to, be able to know what you want to do when you're older. And by putting research into it, you're giving yourself the best opportunity to get the best job in that field, or to get into the best university that you want to. So definitely just start going ahead, researching. I'm sure your teachers will know about that, so talk to them as well about this. Figure out what your ambition is and figure out what you want to do. Again, there are numerous resources out there for what you can be using to figure out what you want to do. So it's pretty easy to find out how to get into top universities. We have great students like Ray who have amazing channels explaining how he did well, and there's again loads of other YouTube channels that you can check out to see what you want to do and what it's like actually doing that job or studying that course.
And even for jobs, something that many people I know have done before university, or even during university, they reach out to people who are doing the jobs that they want to be doing on LinkedIn, or emailing them, or just finding them. So say you want to work at this particular company. I don't know, one of my friends, he's now working at Rolls-Royce. So he just emailed a bunch of people at Rolls-Royce asking for advice and what their journey to this particular path was sort of like. And even asking them hey, can we have a 20-minute Zoom call, or a call and whatever thing people use nowadays. Asking for a short call can be so valuable. I start thinking about data gathering. Trying to speak to as many people doing the things you're potentially interested in doing can be so valuable, because you don't want to be in a position where you're now doing the thing, but it's not as good as you thought it was, or you just don't fit in into this particular career or job. just because you had not spoken to people beforehand about it to understand whether you'd actually like it or not. But yeah, speaking to people, immensely valuable as well.
100%. I mean, everyone loves talking about themselves. I don't understand why people in that job wouldn't mind sharing their story. Again, with things like Zoom and video chats and stuff like that becoming readily available, you can speak to anyone in the world about pretty much anything. I mean, again, sometimes people reach out to me, like some of the friends I have, I definitely wouldn't have met if they didn't just ask for like a Zoom call or something like that. So it's a perfect idea. Why would someone not want to talk about something they're very passionate about? So if you're liking the sound of some of these tips, check out the second part on Ray's channel, where we'll be talking about some more tips for GCSEs and A-level, as well as going into more depths into how he managed to get into Cambridge and applying, and things like super curricular activities, which you might have heard of before but don't know what they mean, and how to get those. Everything for that will be linked in the description, so check it out.